right, what's going on, y'all? Today I'm going to show you how you can maintain all of your muscle and strength while fasting for Orthodox fast, whether that's your regular Wednesday or Friday fast, or especially Great Lent, since Great Lent is a prolonged fast. And now we're kicking off Great Lent. We're in day one of Great Lent, and this is a question I'm getting quite often right now is, what food should I be incorporating to essentially maintain all of my strength or maintain my muscle mass? And if you go ahead and follow the advice I give you in this video, not only will you maintain all of your muscle and strength through Great Lent and through your fasting for Orthodox fast, but you potentially can even make gains during this time. So, this is something that, definitely takes strategizing to maintain compliance and actually fast in the correct way set up by the church. But if you go ahead and you take a little bit of time to use the advice I give you, you're going to be, fully set for not only Great Lent, but your fast throughout the entire year. So I put out in one of my last few videos how I'm going about fasting for Great Lent. This is, my whole focus with this fast and all that, and I'll touch on that towards the end of this video. But in that video, I did touch on some different strategies you can use to go ahead and maintain your muscle and strength. Today we're going to tackle that head on, and I'm going to give you some very specific foods that I'm incorporating within my diet that sets the diet up to where you can maintain all of your muscle and strength. So before we get into those specific foods, I need to touch on what I touched on that last video, and that's tracking your macros. If you're not currently tracking your macros, using an app like MyFitnessPal or something like that, I highly recommend you download it. It's a free app. There's many different diet tracking apps out there. If you're not doing that, go ahead and download the free app that allow you to start tracking your macros. Your macros being protein, carbs, and fat. The main thing here is, you can just go ahead and start throwing a ton of food at you, and you're going to get enough protein in that way, maybe. But a lot of times that then comes with, heavy amount of fat gain. So if you're trying to mitigate fat gain while getting enough protein in, you need to go ahead and have a proper balance between your protein, carbs, and fat. So what I recommend doing is go ahead and download a free tracking app like MyFitnessPal, and then go to a free TDEE calculator. They've got several of them online. I'll go ahead and show on the screen the one I use. And literally you just enter your age, your height, weight, and then your daily activity level. And this will spit out a somewhat accurate representation of what your maintenance calories are, and then what your calories and macros need to be in a surplus or to be in a deficit and essentially cut weight. This will allow you to then have macro goals that you use within your tracking app, and then all you have to do is literally scan the barcodes of foods and input what you're eating. And so what I recommend for my clients is, the night before the next day, they literally go ahead and create their meal plan for the next day, and that way they don't even have to think about that. And that was really applicable to us fasting right now. The main focus here is not, the main focus of Great Lent is not, us focusing on, maintaining or gaining muscle and strength. It's our relationship with God and having a sacrifice to God. So taking as much focus away from food and what you're going to eat is also going to be best for that purpose. So I definitely recommend getting a tracking app, going to a TDEE calculator, and then having a macro goal, and then set up your diet. Me personally, if you watched that one video I did, I'm literally eating the same thing every day throughout all of Great Lent. That way I don't have to think about anything at all. And then, I'm going to show you in another video what I'm specifically eating, but that's one thing I recommend. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into the food. So, if you want to go ahead and maintain your muscle and strength, you need enough protein. That is the main macronutrient you need for muscle and strength. You of course need, at least some level of fats and carbs, but eating a primarily plant-based diet, you're going to be getting carbs and fats. So the main thing here is you've got to make sure you're getting enough protein. And eating a primarily plant-based diet, this is where it takes some strategizing. So this is where you need to go ahead and track your foods, because if you're just going ahead and throwing a bunch of, tofu at you or something like that, you're going to be getting a lot of carbs and fats in the process, and you might not want to be eating that much food. So I personally recommend a good number, a good daily goal is 1 gram per pound of body weight should be your protein goal. I definitely don't think during Great Lent or your weekly fast, you need more than that. But if you wanted to go up to 1.25 grams per pound of body weight, that'd be fine as well. But I wouldn't go much lower than 1 gram per pound of body weight. So I'm currently right around 215 pounds. So I've got my protein set just above 215 grams of protein per day. If you go ahead and you have that as your goal, you're going to be in a really, really solid spot. So now here's the big question. What are the foods that are going to allow you to get there? Besides just essentially just downing a bunch of vegan protein powder. So keep in mind, guys, that we aren't able to have meat products, dairy, anything like that. But what we can have, this is by the church fathers, we can have bloodless animals. And so animals without vertebrae. What this comes down to is essentially shellfish. So this is a huge, huge hack for you to be able to get a lot of protein per day. So what I do with one of my meals each day is I have shrimp. Using something like shrimp or mussels will allow you to get a lot of protein in without really adding, well, frankly, any carbs and barely any fat at all. Shrimp is extremely lean protein and it's very, very high in protein. So I've got one shrimp meal per day in my diet. And this is a massive hack. If you were to just go ahead and do this completely plant-based, completely vegan, it's still very, very much doable, but it's going to be much harder than if you have, one shellfish meal per day, something like shrimp. So shrimp, mussels, clams, octopus, that's going to be okay for you to eat. You eating, some shrimp, this is such an easy way to throw this in, a pasta dish or something like that. So that gets into point number 2. Food number 2 is try to have protein carb sources. So this is a penny pasta made from chickpeas, and it's a high protein one. So each serving has 20 grams of protein. This, I essentially have my shrimp pasta dish at night, and this allows me to get a lot of protein in that meal. And so I'm getting protein in not only from the shrimp, but I'm getting protein in through my carb sources. If you were to just use, rice, or you were to use a regular pasta, you're not going to get that much protein. But having a protein pasta, and it's a plant-based protein pasta, this is a way to kind of hack your protein up and get more protein in. And also, because of this has less carbs than a typical pasta, all that. So if you're trying to keep your carbs lower with your macronutrient balance, this is going to help you do that. So highly recommend any carb sources you can have that are kind of protein carb sources is going to help out. And a big one to use is protein pasta. So then moving on from there, another thing to use is, anytime you can swap out regular foods you would have, regular plant-based vegan foods you can have that are kind of protein versions of that, do that. So, I use a lot of PB2. So if you want to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, instead of using regular peanut butter, go ahead and get PB2. And all you have to do is mix this with water and it turns it straight into peanut butter. But this is protein peanut butter. So, this has less fat than regular peanut butter. One serving has only 1.5 grams of fat, and then it's got 6 grams of protein, which is a good bit more than a typical serving of peanut butter. So anytime you can, go ahead and use the protein version of, frankly, any type of food you have. So this is just going to take some digging around for whatever you want in your diet. And there's a lot of times there's going to be a protein version of that out there. The whole point of this is if you want to maintain your muscle and strength or even make gains through Great Lent, the main thing is you got to be on top of getting enough protein. And that's where it just takes some strategizing. So then from there, this is where we get into kind of the obvious one out there, and that's vegan protein powder. So in a typical diet, to get 1 gram per pound of body weight, it's typically pretty difficult. It's doable, but it's difficult to get in enough protein without some protein powder in per day or protein shake in per day. And it's especially difficult on a vegan diet. So during Great Lent, if this is your goal, then protein powder, vegan protein powder is going to be a friend. I go through a couple of these. One I love, and I put this in my Protein Bowl. I've shown that in another video. I'll show that in future videos coming up. But it's essentially oats with protein powder mixed in. Makes like a really delicious kind of chocolate oats. I use this Ghost vegan protein, and I use the chocolate cereal milk flavor. It's absolutely delicious. So protein powder, vegan protein powder, in having, a couple servings of this per day, I'm doing multiple servings of this per day right now, will really, really, really help out. So, another good option for protein powder, this is First Form's vegan protein, guys. By the way, I'm not sponsored or affiliated to any of these. They're just ones that I use. This is another good option, but the whole point is it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but if you can manage it within your budget, vegan protein powders are obviously going to help out a lot, getting your protein high without jacking up your carbs and fats in the process. And that's the main thing here is if you just want to, bulk, which to be frank, I think in many ways defeats the purpose of fasting. The main thing is here, you want to be compliant with the fast and not eating anything not on the diet. But we're not called to necessarily be bulking and be full through this process. If that's what you feel, if you have a blessing from your spiritual father, that's what you want to do. That's one thing. But me personally, and this is where I've got that video on how I'm tackling this Great Lent. My focus behind it. I'm purposely putting myself in a deficit and to be somewhat hungry. So if you are focused on just throwing food at you and making sure you've got enough protein in, you're going to be fine maintaining muscle and strength. But if you are doing this fast, to really increase your relationship with God and your spirituality and doing the fast for what it's meant to be, you're probably going to be hungry. And so with that, it takes extra strategizing on how to get enough protein. And so that's where I personally, I've got myself in a deficit every day. I've got the same foods every day, so I'm not thinking about food. I'm purposely trying to be a little bit hungry. I'm not focusing on making strength gains during this time. Of course, not making muscle gains during this time. Please watch that other video. I talk about, kind of my connection to my, my physique and kind of things that I'm really focusing on. Letting God work through me through Great Lent, but this is a time of sacrifice. And so I hope that this video helped you at least kind of get some great ideas for foods you can incorporate to help you get enough protein in. Like I said, guys, just go ahead and download a free food tracking app, and all you have to do is scan the barcodes with your phone. It'll input it for you. That way you don't even have to think about food, and you can focus on fasting in your prayer life. And all of that. So these are my biggest tips for you. In future videos, I'll be showing you what I'm specifically eating during Great Lent. Like I said, today is day one of Great Lent, so I'll be as best I can, taking you along this process. I'm of course focusing on my own fasting life, but I do want to help you out as much as I can. Also keep in mind, if you haven't picked it up already, the fasting cookbook, the Orthodox fasting cookbook for strength and performance, is now live. It's down in the description box but down below. My wife and I spent a ton of time on this with very specific recipes that are all high protein, and they're all fasting compliant. So it's perfect for right now for Great Lent, but then also for your weekly fast throughout the year. So that, I hope that's a blessing to you. But I hope you guys have a blessed Lent. Suffer well, guys, and all glory to God. If you have any comments or questions down below, let me know. God bless y'all. Have a great rest of your day.